Hello, grade fours. Today we are learning social science transport 3 times, specifically transport on water. What are our learning outcomes today? We're going to compare the differences between first sailing boat and the steam boat. What are our key questions? Do you know any form of water transportation? Have you seen one? Like, for an example, if you go to the beach and you look at the far end into the horizons, do you not sometimes see huge boats with big boxes on or containers on them? Like, is that beach possibly next to a harbor? Have you not seen any big ships or even fishermen on a small boat from a distance at a beach? What do they look like? Are there any other different types of water transportation have you seen? For an example, have you seen maybe at the beach people windsurfing or using a jet ski? Or have you seen people actually say, or aunts or uncles or really any relatives who have told you, we've been on a cruise from Durban to Cape Town? Have you heard or seen different types of water transportation? The first type of water transportation was a raft. A raft, people made a raft out of tying together bundles of grasses, as you can see, or reeds, but in this picture it looks like bamboo instead of your normal grass, but you can see it's maybe in between or in the middle. It's still used from a bundle of grasses or reeds. The raft floats down on a river. Cannot really sustain itself for long distances. That's why it's sped up to work on shallow waters. The second one is what we like to call as canoe. Canoes were made of tree logs where they cut down the tree and keep digging it until it looks like this, as you can see. They keep digging it so that you can sit on the outside of the canoe. They used poles or pedals to push the canoe through the water, as you can see. That's a simple picture of a canoe. Reed boats. Reed boats were made like canoes, but made from reeds. People tied reeds together in a shape of a canoe. They stood inside of the reed boat and they used pedals to make the boat move through the water. Here's the reeds. It looks like a boat, doesn't it? And it's just shaped and tying together the reeds and shaped like a boat. The first sailing boats, people used the wind to blow their boats along the sea. So sailing boats had sails that catch the wind, and people would make sails from cloth and they would fix their sails with mats. So the first sailing boats were called dhows. Dhows were the first sailing boats. They had a shape of a triangle, and the wooden plaque on a traditional Indian dhows were sewn together. The second sailing boats were junks. Junks is a Chinese ship, and people could travel far into the sea and ocean more than the dhows. Chinese junks sailed across the oceans long before ships from Europe. At this time, Chinese junks were the best ships in the world. Now, the third best sailing ship are caravels. Caravels had improved with time. They took some ideas from dhows and junks, and caravel had 2 or 3 mats with square and triangle shaped sails. Sailors from Europe traveled all over the world with caravels. The fourth one is clipper, were the fastest ship at the time. Trading companies in Europe used clippers to travel with valuable goods such as tea, cloths, and pirates loved to capture clippers because they were fast. Now, the first steamboats, these were the ships made with steam engines. They can move without wind. The steam engine turned a huge paddle wheel which made the ship move right at the back of the ship, or sometimes even on the side. But the paddle wheel had a lot of paddles tied to the wheel, and the paddle wheel pushed against the water, making the boat move. Now, a river paddle stream ship would have a paddle wheel at the back of the ship. Modern forms of water transports. There were ferries, there were like buses on water. They could transport people and goods at short distances. They would usually work well at lakes, rivers, areas close to the coastal land. Container ships, as we've mentioned, like if you're at the beach and the beach was close by the harbor, you would see at the far distance, closer to the horizon, container ships. They're huge and they have like very big boxes of metal on them, and they load goods into the containers to transport them at long distances. Durban has the biggest container port in South Africa. Now, the other type of water transport would be oil tankers. They would deliver oil to southern South African harbors, and they would transport or even make petrol, diesel, paraffin from oil, and they would sometimes spill over the sea, unfortunately, which is not really good for our environment. Ocean liners. Ocean liners are a large passenger ships. In the past, people use it as to travel all across the world for tourism. People use modern liners for expensive holidays today. And what we mentioned before, jet skis. People would use this water transport for fun during summertime. If you see them at the beach, they would use it for windsurfers for fun. So container ships or tankers, ocean liners, jet skis were modern forms of water transport. Now let's talk and compare. Now the first thing as homework is you drawing the difference between the reef and canoe. Among your own peers, when we get back to class, it's better for us to talk about the differences between canoe boats, sailing boats, and the stream boats. Now, what are they made out of? What do they rely on? Do they rely on wind, pedals, or the engine? Do they have mats? Those are the simple differences and similarities, if there are any, between the two boats that I want you to look at and write on this table. What's your assignments? Ask your parents to help you research on the dates the boats were invented. Draw a timeline and of the boats with pictures of the boats drawn or printed, whichever you prefer, showing the timeline history of water transportation. Now, on the next page, we'll show you an example of what I expect. This is how ma'am has done it. This is a timeline. Pictures, the dates, a little bit of extra detail if you choose to. I don't need much, just 1 or 2 sentences. And most importantly, the dates and the pictures. This is the history of water transportation. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please subscribe, like, and share most of the content. And thank you so much.